Welcome to a Tuesday edition of Autoweek TV. Things are pretty quiet in the auto world as car makers and race teams rest up before the start of a new year. Here are a couple of quick news quotes. Toyota has started selling its smallest hybrid car, the Aqua, in Japan. We'll see the Aqua go on sale here next year as the Prius C. And the end of the year marks the end of the road for two Dodge products, the Nitro SUV and the Caliber crossover. We'll see the Caliber's replacement, the Dart, in a couple of weeks at the Detroit Auto Show, but there are no direct replacements coming for the Nitro. All right, one of the most popular shows on cable TV these days is American Pickers. Working from their base in Iowa, Mike Wolf and Frank Fritz scour the Midwest for cool stuff. Not long ago, some auto memorabilia was on their radar, which brought them to Southeast Michigan. Let's take a look.
Since I started collecting about 1968, I decided I wanted an old car and found a 1930 Model A rumble seat coupe and went and bought it for $850 and drove it home.
Drove it home?
It got me started. I needed some parts for it, so I started checking around, and this guy had Model A's that had sold out and had a bunch of parts. I went out and went over to buy a couple parts I needed, and he made me buy everything in his garage, so I bought it all. Took the parts I needed. Then there was a Model A Club had a swap meet, so I went to the Model A Club swap meet and sold the parts for like 5 times what I paid for all of it and said, man, this is all right.
Fast forward to 2011, and Tony's collecting has led to an appearance on an episode of the History Channel's American Pickers.
You ever heard of leather license plates?
Yeah, I've only had one ever. Leather license plates are extremely hard to come by. They were used back in the early 1900s before the government started issuing metal tags.
Well, I have one of the rarest ones you will ever see here. This is a leather license plate that was registered to Olds Motor Works in Lansing, Michigan. It's the only known Oldsmobile manufacturer license plate existing.
So this was made by Oldsmobile?
Yeah, Oldsmobile put this plate together to put as a manufacturer to put on their cars that they tried out on the streets.
Oh.
It's from 1908. I can prove where it came from, prove that Oldsmobile owned it.
God, that's cool.
I have a listing out of a book that a friend of mine owns, and it tells a number there, and it was issued to Olds Motor Works.
1634, Olds Motor Works, Lansing. Where'd you find it at?
At a farm auction. And there was a really old guy, about 80, almost 90, who was there. He said, my great-grandfather started at Oldsmobile in Lansing. When he first opened up, he was one of the first employees hired there. And then later on, I found out this was a manufacturer's license plate.
So that must have been his great-grandfather.
His great-grandfather must have brought it home from Oldsmobile.
What's the value of something like that?
I'm thinking $1,200.
Wow. This plate is one of a kind. I could sell this item to any car collector or any license plate collector. I've got to have it. You know, I'm familiar with leather license plates. I've had them before, but not with this type of history. I'd do $1,000 on it if you're willing to do $1,000.
Yes, I'll do that.
All right, Tony.
All right, good seeing you guys.
Good time, man.
I'm really glad that Tony opened up his barn to us today. We got some very interesting items, and I'm telling you, Michigan has opened up their arms for us.
I'm glad we stopped by here because it looks like you bought everything in the tri-state area.
I know.
You're right. Mike and Frank they're tough negotiators, but I'd rather deal with another dealer or picker because they know what they want. See you in flea market heaven or wherever we're all going to, guys, all right?
You just get going in it and just keep acquiring. You buy stuff, sell stuff, pick up a few items, and pretty soon you end up like I am here.
Now that makes me want to go digging through my garage, but only after the weather gets warmer. That's it for today. If you're off this week, I'm jealous. We'll be back tomorrow. Until then, enjoy the drive. Thanks for watching today's edition of Autoweek TV. Be sure to catch all the latest car enthusiast news on Autoweek.com, in Autoweek magazine, and in Autoweek's iPad edition.